This is an Undiscovered Legacy production and proud member of Pod Nation Media Network. Hello, Scoob Believers, and welcome to episode 108 of the Undiscovered Entrepreneur. And it's me, Scoob, coming at you whatever device you happen to be listening on. All right, before we get started here, I did something a little bit different, not exactly part of the podcast, I guess, but something different. I started a Facebook page for my experiences that I have at the restaurant that I work at. So look in the show notes and you can see my getting basted family. You can see the customers that I have fun with. And I don't know, just to see a different side of me that's not like here in the podcast, but in real life. You know what I mean? So look for that in the show notes. If you want to check that out, that would be amazing. All right, today's entrepreneur is Nicole. Now, Nicole is a gifted bipolar writer who turned her mental health journey into a superpower, launching a successful publishing business that helps others share their stories and embracing their own authentic truth. We're going to discover how Nicole transforms her greatest challenges into stepping stones for success, creating a unique business model that values storytelling over profit, and turning her once hidden bipolar diagnosis into a cornerstone of her personal brand. We're going to learn powerful entrepreneurial wisdom from someone who took the leap just months ago, as Nicole shares how releasing control, embracing fear, and finding your true authentic voice can help you build a business that's both sustainable and deeply meaningful. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's listen to Nicole. Salutations, Scoob Believers, and we are here again with another amazing entrepreneur. Today, we're here with Nicole. Hi, Nicole. How are you?
I am awesome. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to be on the Undiscovered Entrepreneur. We really appreciate having you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm glad for the invitation.
All right. So before we start anything, I kind of have a semi-serious question to ask you, okay?
Yes.
All right, good. Okay, here we go. Are you a Scoob believer?
But of course I am. Are you kidding me? My absolute favorite characters, but I don't think I've met a person who could kind of emulate him and imitate him the way you do.
Thank you.
Oh, and that brings me back to very happy times on a Sunday morning. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just glad I can make you smile a little bit. All right, Nicole, what I'd like to do here at the very beginning is get a kind of idea of who you are, what your entrepreneur adventure is, and how you got across the start line in your entrepreneur adventure.
Wow. Okay, so I'll start with, you see my tagline up there, the gifted bipolar writer. I go by Nick. I would say that all my family and friends call me Nick. The only time I get called Nicole is by my husband once a year when he might be annoyed with me. After 8 years of marriage, it's once a year. So the gifted bipolar writer, it's my brand. It kind of came about when I got an incredible opportunity at the beginning of 2023 to co-author an anthology. That was only my second guest appearance on a live show, and it was Valentine's Day of 2023. Unfortunately, at that time, my left kneecap was broken in four, and so I was really holed up at home. So that was kind of my social time. When that opportunity came my way, I couldn't believe it. I have always loved to write, but honestly, other than a very detailed email, I can't say that I was pursuing any type of writing. I was working full time. And life takes over, bills, family. I went on to write in that book, and it was called Now What? It was about a time after something so adverse happened in your life. You just didn't know what the next step was. You weren't sure if you want to go back to your old life. And though I went back to work in many ways, I didn't go back to my old life. After a month, I realized that I had a great passion for storytelling and incidentally design. The lady who still draws stick figures. So I decided to open the gifted bipolar writer. And that brand just took off. in many ways, not because the gift is to writing. Writing can be learned. That skill can be honed. The gift for me is the bipolarness. And it took some time for me to embrace that. But once I did, I let it go. It was my permission to fly not just as a businesswoman, but more importantly as a person. Genuinely believe that we are people before professionals. And I don't see the distinction between a business person and a professional. So 2 months ago, the 6th, oh my goodness, to the date, I took that leap of faith. I walked away from a job in skilled trades I loved, fantastic benefits. And I thought to myself, it's now or never. I had been running the Gifted Bipolar Writer part-time or full-time, around my full-time. And I got an opportunity to take a chance, give myself a few months and see if I could do this. And it's been an incredible experience. So many ups and yes, so many challenges. But I have to say the challenges make the wins more rewarding. And in this time now, I've had 62 individuals co-author with me. I co-authored in 11 anthologies myself, 5 of which I published, the last 5. And I learned so much through that process about people and varying personalities, diverse cultures, and honestly, individual reasons for wanting to share stories. Because it is very personal and can be very vulnerable. So it's not just a blanket, let me get published. I want to say I'm a #1 international co-author. I want to put money in the bank. It's much more than that. It is about leaving a legacy. It's about making impact. It's about leaving the world a better place with your imprint.
That's amazing. That's awesome. And I love how when we go on our entrepreneur adventure, how it enriches our lives to meet so many amazing people and to have that opportunity to take the best of all the people that we've met and incorporate it in ourselves, because that's what I'd like to do too. If there's something I like about you, oh, Nick, sorry. If there's something I like about you, I'm going to incorporate that into my own personality and make myself a better person. So enriching our lives by being touched by other people is fantastic. And I love how you reframe bipolar as being a gift more than anything else, because that's it. I mean, it really can be a gift if you do it the right way. And you could use those challenges as stepping stones into something amazing.
I couldn't agree more. I honestly feel that thing that you thought was your brokenness is actually, in a way, your superpower. If you can find the help you need to be on solid ground and not wake up feeling like you're 6 feet under, there's a whole world there to you because you're not battling some of the things that you're battling or we're battling on a daily basis anymore, right? You have that sense of freedom now because you've accepted and you've embraced and you've decided to take all the spikes and plunges, not the hills and valleys, and pour that into the emotion that needs to be evoked in your readers when you write. Writing is very healing. It is very empowering. And writing doesn't mean that you have to be published. Not at all. Not at all. If you're the only one that ever sees it, that's fine. But that to me is just another step. And when I started guiding brilliant writers, founded by the Gifted Bipolar Writer, I kept the GBW publishing tagline. Because as with the gift of bipolarness, the guiding brilliant writers, the brilliance, it's not the writers. The brilliance are the stories. My job as a publisher is to, yes, do the proofreading and the editing, but story development so that I could help you bring out your story in your voice, the way you want it told, not the way I want it told as the publisher. the way you want it to. It has to be the message that you want to convey. And I think I'm building out my own framework. Let's just put it that way. And I'm glad that I am as well. That just lends to my personality. It really does.
Well, it's more authentic that way.
I agree. And as somebody that is so transparent with her mental illness and just in general, I want that authenticity. I want that realness. I have worked with two other publishers and learned a tremendous amount from them. And there are some publishers that like you to stick to the theme of the book almost rigidly, or would share the chapters in a cluster form almost. I don't. I oddly enough enjoy turning the page to a new chapter and getting, wham, a completely different perspective, a completely different style of writing. Here are 21 people, that's what my anthologies have been, writing their story about a theme, yes, but from their eyes and their experiences and their hopes and their dreams in the manner in which they write and where they're at. I don't want somebody to have a dictionary next to them when they read these stories and get lost in trying to figure out what these 9 big words are on this page. That's not the kind of writing that I would like to support. I want people to come in where they are. And last year I did a trilogy of anthologies, 12 people in each, 36 altogether, including myself. There were at least a dozen who had never written or been published before. And there were some who had been published 20, 30 times. My thought process in that is everybody comes in with a level playing field, because this theme and this experience is unique to this particular project. And I think the learning goes both ways. I really do. I think the more inexperienced writers get an opportunity to learn from more seasoned writers. But what I've noticed is the more seasoned writers are brought back to that feeling of what it was to publish for the first time. Some can become very desensitized to what they do because it becomes less than an art now and more of, if you want to say, a job, because some people do publish to earn money as a job. I think it can be both. But I feel that art and that craft of storytelling is what keeps you motivated. It's what keeps me inspired to keep going with the storytelling and wanting to put people's stories out there. So I'm very, all my goosebumps are up, I'm sorry. I get very emotional when I talk about this because of what it means to me and because of what I want it to mean to each person the first time they step up and own their story. No one has lived it like them. No one would be able to tell it like them. And no ghostwriter is going to be able to write it like them. And am I opposed to ghostwriting? Absolutely not. I've been asked, and I'm sure I will. But don't not give yourself that chance. It's the same thing with entrepreneurship. Don't be afraid to give yourself that chance. I mean, understandably, there is some preparation involved. I didn't jump blindly off a cliff, although I hope that if I did, I would drop and roll. But that's the resilient factor, and I believe that we all have that resilience in us. Sometimes taking that step makes you realize how much more resilient you are than you thought you were.
That's amazing. What's funny is we kind of get into fear a little bit, and that's actually one of the hurdles of stop that I talk about in my podcast. The 4 hurdles of stop being imposter syndrome, perfectionism, failure, and fear. Fear is a big part of it. It kind of combines all of those into one thing. They're all fears that we come across. So when we talk about starting a new entrepreneur adventure, do you think that's what stops most entrepreneurs from getting started?
I do. And I think it's fair of a number of things. It's not fair, one thing. It's that imposter syndrome of, can I do this? It's that there's so much competition out there already. It's what happens if I don't get clients? How will I pay my bills? There are so many fears. And the thing that I want people considering going full-time into entrepreneurship to understand, one, you don't have to go into it full-time to start. Two, you have every right to feel the way you are feeling. Oh my God, if you weren't fearful to some degree, I would worry you. I mean, you're human. And sometimes fear could be a motivator. And I'm not saying that it's the best motivator, but there will come a time that your achievements and your pride in it will become the motivator. But you have to take the step. And it's okay. That step is small. There'll be days when you will take leaps. There will be days when you take the tiniest steps. And there will be days when you take a step backwards. It happens to me every single day. Am I trying to take the biggest step forward? Yes. Does it always happen? No. At the end of the day, and I do have actually a live podcast, and it's called Nick Never in Control. Because I feel one of the best ways to gain control is accepting that you are not in control of everything going on around you. There are a lot of external factors. Sometimes letting go of control is the best way for you to take control. Letting it go, letting it take its course. It does not mean that you're allowing yourself to be run over, by no means. But there are times when you have to step back and observe and not be the one holding the reins, and that's okay. Come back and hold the reins when you are ready. And I think another part that is important, it's okay to ask for help. It is so okay. I couldn't be where I was today if I didn't want this so desperately that I would say, hey, can you help me? Can you teach me? I admire that you do this. Have some people said, no, yes, that's okay. Maybe some people don't have the bandwidth. Maybe some people want to hold their knowledge to their chest. For me, knowledge is a waste if you're not sharing it. For me, I'm competitive, but I don't believe in competition. I think there's more than enough out there for all of us. Jesse might love the way that I function as a publisher and he aligns greatly with me. And somebody else may come along and say, she doesn't know what she's doing. I can't stand that woman. Don't stop being you. If you don't embrace you, you can't expect other people to look up to you and want to be a part of. The only way to get buy into your vision is for you to believe your vision. And I say this 2 months into starting my business, my LLC officially, and 2 years into doing this, I didn't start there. I didn't start there. And I still have those occasional days where I want to pull the covers over my head and I don't want to face the 3 meetings and I'm not sure how I'm going to handle a situation or I'm stumped about something. But 2 years ago, I wrote something down and it stayed with me, which is passion plus desire plus action equals results. It doesn't start with having the money in the bank. It doesn't start with having all the time in the world. It starts with a passion that's ignited inside of you that makes you want to get out of bed in the morning. And it's the first thing you want to run and do. And that's what was happening with my full-time job. I started wanting to run to my laptop and write. And that won over. But take that passion, turn it into a burning desire to the end goal. Visualize, see what it is you want at the end. Okay, wrap that passion and desire together. It will be enough to make you take the action for the first step. And people say it all the time. I live on LinkedIn. DM me. Nicole, Nick, and Galindo. Business page, guiding brilliant writers. Send a DM. I will always answer. If I don't answer right away, you will get an answer. I'm that crazy person that answers to people trying to pitch slap me. I'm like, thank you for the offer, but I'm not interested. I'd rather do that than they come back and pitch slap me 4 more times. And they get the respect enough to know that you're not interested. So I don't have any unanswered DMs actually. I know that's really weird, but I don't.
You got to have the bandwidth to be able to answer any kind of DM. So I'm glad you even answered mine, to be honest with you. But thank you very much. We're not for everybody. That's just the thing too. I mean, there's going to be people that don't like you, and that's okay. Don't waste your energy on people that don't like you. Just say, hey, I understand you don't like me. You are who you are. I'm not going to change you, and move on. And just move on to the people that do like you. Concentrate on the people that are following you. That way it stays positive. And being able to ask for help, such a huge thing to be able to do. You are not being weak by asking for help. You're actually being brave by asking for help, because you're brave enough to ask for that help. And the only thing that's going to do is enhance what you're doing with somebody else's knowledge, achievements, anything like that that comes about in the conversation. You got to be asked for help. And being in control, I mean, there's nothing really we can 100% control. So instead of trying to be stressed about control, let the control go. Let things happen the way they're supposed to happen. We can't control how everything happens in our lives. It just doesn't work that way. So instead of being stressed about it, let's just see what happens next and go from there. It's so much better than, I got to hold on to this. I got to hold on to this. There's times where people will hold on to it so hard, if they lose control, they just, it tears them apart. Let's just relax and just see what happens next.
Very well said, and I agree. I concur. You know, there is no perfect formula. There's no perfect time. People say there's no perfect time. Start now. You start when you're ready. However, that being said, promise yourself you will start and keep that promise.
As long as you're doing something, whether it's just read a book about something you're very interested in, or talking to somebody that's interested in the same subject as you, as long as you take that step across the start line, that's what I call that, is getting across the start line in some way, shape, or form. It could be small. It could, just like you said earlier, it could be a little small step. It could be a big leap. As long as you're doing something to move along.
Mm-hmm. Gotta move the needle. And I don't know if this is okay. If it's not, I guess you could tell me, shush. But I want to give an opportunity to people. So next week, I am starting a brand new series called The Person Behind the Pen. It's going to be every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern. This is an opportunity for all the co-authors who have written with me to come on and do a live reading of their chapter and a chapter discussion. Now, if they aren't comfortable reading it, I am more than happy to read it, of course, because not everybody's comfortable reading aloud. But the point is, you purchase the book, you read the story, you say, oh, I love this person's story. I love that person's story. Who is the person behind it? What was their motivation and inspiration for sharing it? What about you? Maybe you considered writing. You don't know where to start. Maybe you considered writing and you look at a few of these episodes and you go, nope, that's not for me. Maybe you walk away understanding the expectations going through the publishing process a bit better. And after that, I encourage you, if you do want to write and publish, go and look up 2 other publishers. Go and follow them. Go and see what their thread is like. It's the same thing as test driving a car at a few different dealerships. All right? It's an investment. And in this particular case, other than personal gain, there is no guaranteed ROI. Okay? So it's something some publishers promise. I never have and never will. I will not promise that you will be a #1 international bestseller. I will not promise you will sell 5,000 copies. I will not promise you will be on the New York bestsellers list. I'm very transparent. And a lot of people have said to me, you're crazy. Like you talk about your business, not business, my personal business, but what I do in business so much. And you know what I say? If somebody emulates me because they think it's a good idea, kudos to me. Kudos to them too. I can't help everybody. They're gonna go help other people. So I am very transparent. You will get that with me. I'm very understanding, but I believe on the opposite side of empathy is accountability. So if you do choose to work with me, I will hold you accountable. It does not mean that I am not understanding and forgiving of things that happen in life, those never in control moments, because they happen. In fact, during the trilogy last year, one of the co-authors lost a brother in a terrible accident. Okay, she almost did not continue. Another, and a more recent one, lost her mom, I think it was. She almost didn't continue. And there was never pressure. They both chose to continue. I gave them the latest possible deadline. There was a last chapter to be edited. And do you know, both those people came back and said how grateful they were, as painful as it was to write. They needed to do it to honor the person, to honor the promise to themselves, to give that person a legacy, and to heal, to start the road to healing.
That's fantastic. The person behind the pen, is that gonna be a podcast, or what is the format of that?
Yep, we're live Tuesday and Thursdays at 6 p.m. Eastern. We will be on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube.
Fantastic. If there's any kind of link that you could give me to help people go to that, we'll have that in the show notes. Is that okay, Nick?
Yes, so I would give the LinkedIn page for Guiding Brilliant Writers, or if you just pop and search Guiding Brilliant Writers, the show would always, the event and which courses being featured would always be there. And next Tuesday, we have Jenlyn L. Ford, and Jenlyn is an absolute powerhouse. She's been through a tremendous amount in her life, and she's a huge advocate for people with disabilities. She lives an amazingly prosperous life from her chair. I have hired her to work from time to time with me. She's just a person I admire very, very much. And she also has her own live podcast. So you would find that as you move in certain circles, the opportunity to take your connections into more of a networking and then deeper friendships is there. Don't ever feel that you need to stop searching for the people that you would align with. Like Jesse said, it's okay, and not in a bad way, that everybody's not for you. You're not for everybody either. And that is not a bad thing. It does not mean a bad thing. Good God, there better be differences between me and Jesse, just as there would be things in common. How boring would this world be if we all walked around like a bunch of clones? I would hate it. I want that you have a differing opinion than I do. Doesn't mean that we can't discuss it and be civil about it. Maybe you'll even get me to see a bit of the way you see things. But that mutual respect has to be there. And I honestly feel it starts with transparency. I will not say or do anything on social media that I would not say or do in real life. The persona is not there. The mask is not there. It's too tiring. I really do not have time to put a mask on and take it off. I have a lot to do.
A lot of people think they have to, but at the same time, it's like it's exhausting to be two or three different types of people when you need to be just you. And people will like you for who you are and what you do. And the people that don't like you will obviously stay away because they don't like you. So it's just better that way, to be authentic and 100% who you are from the very beginning.
Yes. And people throw that word around, it's like a household name these days, authentic. If you follow someone's content closely, after a time, you will get a feel. Always trust your gut. Always trust your gut. Some people need to wear the mask for one reason or the other. And I was that person for a long time with my bipolarness. I just got the help I needed. And I'm not at all embarrassed to say that I take medication. I take 2 antidepressants and a mood stabilizer, more than I ever have. With a general practitioner, it was just an antidepressant because they aren't qualified to treat you the way a psychiatrist is. And that combination of medication has worked so well for me that since October 4th of 2020, yes. And the last day I had a drink, and that was just socially, mind you. My life has, my God, my life is my life is something I never thought it could be. And this has nothing to do with the business and everything to do with the fact that I wasn't in a fog anymore. I could see. And yeah, I was a little bit afraid of what I saw because I was finally seeing through non-foggy glasses. And it took a while. For a while, I was like, is this what happiness is? This is so blah. But there came a time as well where there was just gratitude. Gratitude that I purchased my first home and I never thought I'd be there. That I started a new job in a culture that adored me and took me for who I was because I was brave enough to go in and say, look, this is who I am. Okay, I wear my emotions on my sleeve. As far as I'm concerned, it's not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. I understand if you can't deal with it, you can just smile and walk past me and say good morning, but this is who I am. Oh, there's something else I do want to share. A short while ago, I started a program called Our Bipolar Brilliance. I started that as a support group, but I want to say it more as a meeting of minds. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a certified therapist. I'm a woman that's been living with bipolar disorder for 30 years. I'm bipolar 2. My father's bipolar 1, non-functioning since I've been 15. I have a couple of family members with schizophrenia. And the hardest part for me is my father's the one person I can't reach. And so many through social media have come to me to talk to me, ask for my phone number to speak to me, feel motivated, inspired, ready to take their life in a different direction. And I wish there was some way for me to follow up with all of them. So I did start this. It's a small subscription based once a week for an hour, and it is for people who are bipolar with their support partner. And each time you will get to meet my support partner, which is my husband. He's very shy, but he knows how important this is to me, and that without his love and support, I would not have gotten as far as I've gotten because there have been enough times that I didn't want to be here and I tried to make it so. So
Yeah,
I
it's
told you
great.
I was transparent.
Yeah. It's great to be able to have that support. If anybody wants to look into that, we'll have a link in the show notes too to look into that. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
All right.
And that page is just our bipolar brilliance. Try to make it simple.
That way we remember it, right? So here I want to ask this question. Now, I'm sure you've been asked lots of questions about what's your greatest pitfall, what's the hardest thing you've come across, or anything like that. But I like to put a little bit of a spin on it. And I'd like to know what your hardest pitfall was that you're proud of. What's the one thing where you say, I'm glad I went through that because if I didn't go through that, then this wonderful outcome wouldn't have happened. So do you have anything in mind like that?
Good question. I find it right now every day, I become more and more self-aware. I'm not happy with some of the things I see, and that's okay. I'm happy that I'm aware of them to work on them. The biggest thing in all of this is that I was once very close to 3 other ladies. And when this all started, the first book came out under me as a gifted bipolar writer, but it was a team. And so moving forward, we had planned on opening a publishing company together. Somewhere along the line, that changed. And one of the ladies, brilliant, very educated, said that she wanted to offer it under her company line. At that time, I didn't have a company. I walked away and it hurt a lot. a lot. I love them like sisters. I still wish the absolute best for them. If I didn't walk away at that point in time, and I didn't preserve my desire for this to be more than profitable, and mind you, I was very different position. Okay, I worked full time, so it was not my bread and butter. That allowed me to build deeper connections and friendships because I wasn't looking at people as potential clients to earn money. I was looking at people, how can I make them as excited to take the opportunity I did to write? And I walked away from what I felt could have turned into something that was money centric versus being what I had a vision for it. And it's not that I wasn't willing to share. Of course, under the realm of a publishing company with the forest, not under the name of one who was established already. I wanted to share around it all. That was a hard lesson for me, really hard. I was part of a thriving community at that time, and that choice involved stepping away from that as well. And I lost myself for a little while. I cried, I felt very lonely. I wasn't sure what I was about anymore. And when I came back from it, I realized that I kept growing. And more than anything, that growth is now organic. And that made me very happy. Social media is a big part of my life. It's how I get out there what I do. And in a time when the algorithms are tough, changing, constantly changing. I would say my impressions sometimes are not more than 300, but my engagement is up big time. And what does that tell me? It's not that people are just scrolling and seeing you and sticking around for a couple of minutes. They care enough to know what you're doing that they want to stay and comment. In 2 months, that business page has gone to 300, a little over 300 followers. I'm grateful, but I honestly feel what you put out into the universe is what comes back to you. And that is not a cocky statement. I used to think about that talking about my successes meant that I was like pompous. I've learned that there's a way you can talk about them genuinely and take the acknowledgement that you deserve and still be humble, but not humble to the point where it feels almost icky, like you're being too humble. And it's just a reminder that, as with everything in life, there's a balance. And that balance isn't always 50-50. But you got to strive for the balance. I mean, being too much one way can be tough. Here, am I going to contradict myself? You ready? Being one way could be tough, yet I have my core values and I hold on to them. So there you go again. Always two sides of the same coin. Always.
Well, that's how you keep that balance, though, right? You got to be on both sides of it to be able to understand how it all works. So it actually makes perfect sense to me. You're not so much contradicting yourself, but balancing yourself out. So that's quite the story. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's amazing. Yeah, wait, blah, 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 blah. Thank you, editing. Okay, so
Fun,
right.
fun, but meaningful. And in this day and age, time is of the essence to everyone, right? And not discounting entertainment time scrolling through TikTok, which I'm not on TikTok, but people want value. And so therefore I would hope that anybody that spent a half an hour with us took some value away from this. This is why we do these things. This is why we share our stories.
That's right. And it's not so much just the followers, because I'm the same way too. I'm not so much worried about followers as the quality of the people that are there, right? Because the people that are there with us are there for us for a reason, with us for a reason. So we want them to have the highest quality we can. So it's not so much as I have a million bajillion followers, but I have 200 followers that are there because they want to learn from me and they're there to support me in what I'm doing. So yeah, that's exactly what it's about.
Right there with you. I would rather one really genuine, heartfelt comment, which tells me you read the post and you want to take the time to express your perspective, then 10 great posts.
Yep.
What?
Exactly.
Oh boy.
So, you know that my audience is brand new entrepreneurs that are just getting started in their entrepreneurial adventure and getting across the start line. But if you came across somebody yourself
Yeah.
that was just getting started, what kind of advice would you have them? What kind of advice would you give them? What steps would you have them take?
Give yourself some grace. Accept there's going to be an adjustment. Adjusting from full-time employment into full-time entrepreneurship was hard. It still is sometimes. Allow yourself time to process. Understand that the success of your company is not determined by the first client you land. Yes, I understand you have to make money and pay your bills. I do too. But you're laying a foundation, and that does take time. The investment is the capital of your time. If you take the time now to build strong, you will not have to worry that that foundation is going to crack. And a lot of times, I feel that where entrepreneurs feel is they mushroom. They go too fast, too high, and then things cave in. And am I scared? Yes, I'm scared. I'm still scared. But I want to give myself the opportunity to do this. I want to say the right way, because you fail forward and you learn as you grow and the process gets refined. So do not be afraid to make the wrong decision. Do not be afraid to make a mistake. Do consider all angles of taking the step, okay? Financially, how it may impact your family, how it will impact you personally. That is an entrepreneur mindset. An entrepreneur mindset is not about, oh, I got burnt out from corporate, I'm going to start a business. I see it all over social media. That is not an entrepreneur mindset. Okay, not wanting to go back to work for somebody is not that either. What it is something burning into you so deeply that starting a business is the only option for you. And that you are willing to put in what it takes to do it, no matter what. People wear, I work 24 hours like a badge. I'm not going to wear burnout like a badge. And I've been there, not with just employment, but just doing this when I've spread myself too thin. So I know I'm throwing a lot at everyone. I have a Calendly, I'll share that with you as well. Somebody wants to spend 15 minutes with me and they feel that something I might have to share may benefit them in some other way, fine. But understand this, I am not coming at you as somebody who's been doing this for 50 years. I am learning everything as I go. I'm tucking away all the information that would serve me and tuning out all the white noise that won't. Probably one of my biggest pieces of advice is this. Organize your time and fight hard to stick to it. You need to focus. You need to focus. And that focus does not mean constantly being out there marketing for clients. A lot of times, that's a much smaller part of it. Focus is so important, and focus is the easiest thing to lose when you are no longer on a clock 9 to 5 and you have deadlines. You now have to set your deadlines. And sometimes it's not picking up that phone call from a friend, sending a text saying, I'm in the middle of something, I'll give you back a call. Sometimes even saying no to a podcast because you have deliverables for a client. Focus is hard. And yes, it can get lonely. It's something people always spoke about, and it can. I'm used to being in an office with 12 people. I spend a lot of time by myself now. And that's why I say give yourself grace. It's going to take time for you to adjust.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much. Some fantastic advice from Nick. We'll make sure to clip a lot of that out for people to listen to because that was amazing. All right, so I like to do this with all my guests. It's kind of a thing that I like to do.
Okay.
In 6 months, where do you see you and your company? I'd like to know your 6 month goal for what you have going for yourself.
You have this down pat. You like seriously are some really, let's not just have an organic conversation. Let's really ask the questions. Wow, 6 months from now. Okay. 6 months from now, I would have had 2 more books out by the first author client I have. I just published his very first book, which is called The Silent Canvas of Psychological Thriller. So I will be there with these background
There
things.
you go.
I would have also published my next anthology, We Choose to Be More Than Our Diagnoses. I want to be well into writing my first solo book, which is going to come as a trilogy, which I want to launch early next year. 3-part short read, just 100 pages each book, nothing crazy. And I already know it's going to be a bipolar me, my bipolar blessing, and bipolar and loving it. So I have my 3 books. That's a tough goal because I will be doing this alongside running anthology projects, which could last 3 months, as well as publishing for individual authors. Where I want to see myself in 6 months, and before that, is my website up and running functionally. I want to see myself building out my YouTube so I can reach a wider audience. I want to, and this is going to happen very soon. I'm no longer going to be exclusive to Amazon. I'm going into worldwide distribution. So now these publications can be available in stores like Barnes and Nobles and stuff like that. It will be on their websites, mind you. And there's a lot of mythbusters out there in terms of publishing, but that's another episode. So essentially, where I see myself in 6 months is being able to progress double what I had progressed in the last 2 years, because now I have double the time to invest compared to when I was working. Can those goals change? Yes. Am I willing to pivot and adapt? Yes. But essentially, this company is moving in the direction of being self-sufficient. Not moving in the direction of becoming a gazillionaire. Okay, I'm not going to set unrealistic goals, but I want it to be self-sufficient enough that even if I never make what I was making, the decision was not just monetarily, but was to improve the quality of my life and a chance to live it before I am too old to run around in the backyard with my puppy. Right? So I see tremendous growth professionally and personally. And I hope that as I go, that so many of my friends who supported me, all ships rise with the tide. And I want to bring as many people along with me as I can to earn and find a way to build their companies as well, offer their services. I don't want to get to the top alone. How lonely and boring. I've done that. I've done the boring, lonely, being on the top of my little bipolar North pool. It's not fun.
We definitely rise by lifting others. I mean, that's the big thing. So that's
Yes.
amazing. So what I got here is you want to have your YouTube and your website up and running, 2 books and your solo book, at least the first one out and within the next 6 months. Does that sound about right?
Yes, that's absolutely correct.
Okay. So what I'd like to do with you, Nick, is I'd like to follow up with you with another interview just like this one in 6 months. Yep, in 6 months. And we're going to see if you've accomplished these goals. Is that okay with you?
Absolutely, challenge on.
All right. Because you're not just accountable, it's just not accountable to me, but now accountable to all my school believers out there. Okay.
What's in scoops? We got
We
this.
got this. All right. All right, Nick, this is your time to shine. This is a time where I'd like you to advertise yourself. How do we get a hold of you? And if we want to talk to you and all that good stuff. Okay, ready, set, go.
Okay, I'm most active on the LinkedIn platform, guiding brilliant writers. Might be easier to remember than my very complicated name, guiding brilliant writers. You pop on there, you can catch me from there with any other way. My email address is Nick, N-I-C, like my name, the GBW, gifted bipolar writer. Nick the GBW, Nick the GBW at gmail.com. That's it. So you can drop me an email, tell me whatever you want to talk about. I could share my Calendly and stuff like that. I am on Facebook, I am on Instagram, but LinkedIn is my platform of choice. And as things roll out, I would share my website and my YouTube and stuff like that. Probably, and one of the best ways, and maybe the easiest ways, I would think, is attend a live show. The person behind the pen, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 6 p.m. You will see if you go and search events in LinkedIn, you'll see it. Because LinkedIn has all the events that are out there, right? The person behind the pen.
All right. All right, Nick. Thank you so much. This has been absolutely an inspiring episode. I really appreciate you coming on the Undiscovered Entrepreneur. It's been a real treat.
Oh, it's been a real treat for me too. What a way to kick off this morning for me.
Oh, yes, for both of us.
Yeah,
All right.
it's important. Sometimes as a business owner, you focus so much on the clients, you forget to think about yourself and your progress as well. And it is important that you are reminded. So I thank you for that.
And I thank you for being a part of it. All right, Scoop Believers, make sure you stay tuned for the wrap up. Okay, everybody, thank you. Bye-bye. All right, Scoop Believer, that was Nicole. What a great episode. That was really inspiring to me how she put things together for herself, even though she had some hurdles, she had some difficulties that she was coming across, but she changed them around. She really turned it on its head and turned it into something absolutely fantastic. But once again, I do have some very valuable takeaways from this. What you once considered the greatest weakness can become the most powerful asset. I mean, Nicole transformed her bipolar diagnosis from a hidden struggle into the foundation of her thriving business, proving that our deepest challenges often hold the keys to our greatest contributions. Taking the entrepreneurial leap isn't just about fearlessness, but about moving forward despite your fears. When you embrace your passion so deeply it becomes the first thing you want to run to each morning, you'll find the courage to build something authentic that will resonate with those who truly need what you can offer. And with that, I want to say thank you very much. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Scuba Believers, for being here for another great episode. And I will see you next week. Goodbye, everybody.